Hello world, my name is Tim Russick. I'm with Rick Davidson. We're going to go over the top 3 Steam marketing tips to sell more games, and we're going to do it live. We're going to go over stuff as we're seeing it. We're going to kind of tell you our thoughts. Rick, you excited for this?
Yeah, living on the edge, man. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can give some good insights.
So I'm on Steam, and I want to talk about our tip number 1, which was the 10-second test. And Rick, you want to tell us a little bit about what the 10-second test is if I scroll to a game here?
Yeah, go see, just jump around, see if you can find an example. The whole thing, when we land on a page, I don't know what this game is. I haven't seen it. There's 10 seconds for me to know what sort of game it is. Am I interested in playing it? Does it look cool? Sometimes it's 5 seconds. People have a quick look and they're out of there. So if you don't capture someone in 10 seconds with your absolute best merchandise, your best stuff, the video is super, super important. You can see we're looking at a video here.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste that 10 seconds with your title page, made by Rick Studios. And once upon a time it's an open world. I'm just reading what's on the screen here. You'll lose people. They don't want that. It's like in the first moment, you have to be bam, gameplay. What is this game and why do I want to play it? I'm not yet at the point where I'm invested in your story. I don't care about the princess needing to be rescued. I just want to know, what is it and is it awesome?
Yeah, so I stopped this video at 10 seconds and I could tell you right away, I don't kind of know what the game is. Like, I can read more, but if I'm on Steam and I'm shopping for a game, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. And that's 10 seconds is all it takes for me to just be like, okay, this isn't for me. So we brought up
just before you jump on that, Tim, if you have a look just on that one, if you look even at the description, so you've got your video, you've got your thumbnail-y image thing, and it's like, embark on a perilous journey across a realm forsaken by the gods. It's like, I don't care. I don't know. It's really hard. It's a knife through the heart for someone who's a narrative game designer. It's like, that stuff comes after you've won them with the gameplay. That's flavor to make it even better. That's not, you don't lead with your story.
You got to get me interested in paragraphs of text is the least way that you could ever get me interested. So I pulled up another example here because we were looking at this a little bit earlier before it started. And if I refresh this page, immediately what I see is just kind of a blank stuff. So there's no trailer at all on this. And on top of that, I can't actually tell what I'm doing or what this is for, right? So it's not to call out any developers. We love people that make games everywhere, but I don't actually know what this Steam page is showing me at all. I don't know what this is.
Exactly. And a lot of the purpose of us having this kind of conversation is to say to people, you're somewhere between, you've just put up your page and you're super ready and you're super tight. And I think this one is earlier on. You can see that the image, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. It's just kind of a purple thing, and Angelwood, don't know what it is. What's the game? How do I play it? So video here. I mean, first step, get a video.
Yeah.
And show me some cool gameplay.
So if I refresh it though, the 10-second test is actually spent most of the time on a blank image, right? So even if they couldn't do a video, I understand, but this is not the right.
But Tim,
first?
Did you try pressing any button that might have helped?
This I did not. Oh, it pulls up a dialogue button.
There you go. You just needed to press a button. That's what I needed to do. So, maybe this theme page is the game. You have to figure out what to do.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. We missed
but it's a coming soon, and there's a thing. You should be getting your Steam page up pretty early when you've got something that you think is worthy. People are going to look at it and be like, "Wow!" But you don't want to do it too rough and raw. And what we're looking at here is, it looks like it's pretty early, which is great. Practice, get some feedback, but as soon as you can, get some of that polish in there.
Yeah. So on the flip side of that, I've got a game I pulled up earlier called Polybridge 2, and immediately in the first 2 seconds, I can tell what kind of game this is, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is a building game. And if you notice, they had the logo in the first 10 seconds, which generally I would say stay away from, but they added the action first. And now I'm invested. Now I want to keep watching. I want to see all this cool stuff. Right. But it took that first 10 seconds for me to even want to do it.
And that's it. We talk about 10 seconds, but it's not 10 seconds and done. It's like, oh, here's my video. It's 10 seconds and that's it. The first 5 seconds was interesting. Then I watched the next 5. Then I watched the next 5. And you look at this, it's cool. Like, the gameplay looks cool. It's a good game. And being a sequel, it's got the advantage of they've already figured out their pipeline and their processes and their artwork. Right. But I want to keep watching it. How long was that video in total? 45 seconds?
Yeah.
That's a great length of time. And it's interesting. It looks really cool. They've given us their best stuff.
Yeah, and even if I skip the video here, so let's say I, for whatever reason, I start clicking, which sometimes people do, you can still tell right away kind of what the game is immediately. Unlike some of the other games we just looked at, like I don't really know what all that stuff is, so they don't pass the 10-second test because I don't know what they are. You know, in addition to that, check out this description. We were just pointing
Yep.
out the really long, wordy ones. Literally, it's like one sentence, right?
Yeah. And it's, they've got words in there. So the acclaimed, then you get there and you say, well, the first one must have been pretty good because it's the acclaimed. And it's a bridge building. Aha, bridge building. Got it. I know what that is. Indie. Okay. I like to support indies. This is good. It's made by a couple of people. And it's back, more levels, more features, more physics fun. So this is a sequel. It's a little bit of a different proposition. But basically what they're saying here is the first one was awesome. The second one's even better. That's clear what you're saying. What about, do you have any examples of brand new games that aren't sequels that we can have a look at? I think we might return back to Polybridge because there's some other good things to show from that.
We can take a look.
For some of our
Mature
other
content
points.
is probably not a good one to do. What is this one? Last Campfire. This one, I like this right away. It starts with kind of what the game is, but it also starts with the accolades. So we're at 8, 9, 10 seconds. I think this
if you've got that. So a lot of people watching are going to be saying, well, I don't have, all these indie game of the year from wherever. So if you've got it, put it there. But sometimes even quotes, if you can get out there and get some quotes from people that are recognized, I really love this game, enjoyed this game. It's kind of good.
I can immediately get that this is a puzzle game though, just from that first 10 seconds. Like this obviously is good because it's got all the accolades, but this part shows me it's very puzzly, and this part does too. And that's all in the first 10 seconds. And then on top of that, you've got and
it looks really lovely. So you're seeing the loveliness.
The visual aesthetic quality of it definitely helps, right? It helps sell the thing because it's such a visual medium. That's what video games are. It makes me want to watch the rest. And honestly, this whole trailer is 30 seconds. I think that's great too. 30 to 45 seconds is great, especially if you have a very powerful 5 seconds. And you can always include videos like this that are longer right after your Steam launch, which is pretty cool.
That's a good point. Yeah. The first video that you have is the 30 to 40 second, very gameplay centric. And then if you wanted to give more depth, people are looking at saying, I kind of maybe like this, but I'm not sure. Then the next video, sometimes people include their Kickstarter video because it's more of the behind the scenes, who we are as developers, establish a little bit of a relationship. I think that's okay. But you can go into more depth. You can talk about the story. You can talk about why this is going to be, worth your money and worth your time investment. So quick video, 30 to 40 seconds, and then bigger videos. What about images, Tim? I don't find that images are really, I don't look at them as much nowadays. It's more about the video.
I think images are important, but I think the video is super important. The image that is important though, and that brings us to our point number 2, is to create a captivating capsule image. Now you might be asking, what is a capsule image? Well,
Tim, what's a capsule image?
Like Rick just asked, I'm glad you asked that, Rick. A capsule image is the image that shows up right here in the listing of games. So when you get listed on Steam, your capsule image is going to be listed next to a bunch of other capsule images. And this image is important because it does 2 things. One, it tells me what this game is supposed to be. It tells me whether or not this game is for me. And it also kind of tells me a little bit about the genre and the feel and the aesthetic vibe to it. So we were talking earlier.
It's always got the name on it, doesn't it? It's the name. So you can quickly see what it's all about. And then you don't have a lot of real estate. The name is taking up sort of 50% of that image there. But the font that you use, the type that you're using, the colors, everything has to say, as you're saying, Tim, has to say, I'm this sort of game.
Right. And if we look at, so Eternium, I don't know what these games are. So, but Eternium, I can't actually tell what type of game that is, right? Like it seems like it's mystical, magical kind of deal, but I don't know. If we look at Monster Crown though, immedially what I think is like Pokemon.
Yeah, that's nearly suable, isn't it? How Pokemon like it is. It's very there's a dude with a backpack and a guy with a shell. That's very
Pokemon. Important though, because if I'm a fan of Pokemon games and I see a capsule image that looks like it's a Pokemon game, that makes me click. And that leaves us into our 10-second test, what we said before, and then 10-second test gets us interested, right? So it's kind of a whole strategy. This is a good capsule image because it got me to click. And when I clicked, I was correct in assuming what the game was, right? Had I been wrong, had it been a different kind, like a tower defense game or something like that, I would have been like, oh, that's an instant like back button, right?
And that's also a good marketing strategy. If you get there and you say, okay, here's a very popular genre or popular type of game, I'm going to make a game similar enough to that so people recognize it, but not so similar that you get in trouble. You don't want to be breaking any copyright or trademark issues. But if there's a love of Pokemon and you can do something that says, if you love Pokemon, you're immediately going to have that feeling for this.
Yeah.
What else have we got in there that you think, like
So,
Potion Craft? That looks like a more simple, like it's a very simple, the art style more pixel arty.
yeah. But it's definitely consistent, right? So the capsule image has to be consistent with what the game is, but it also has to give you kind of a good view of what am I clicking on? Like what is this game going to be? And I think for Potion Craft specifically, it's got the name going for it, it's got the art style, and it's got this little icon that when I click on it, it's like, oh, it's exactly kind of what I imagined in my head it was going to be like. And if you're interested at that capsule image and that capsule image is consistent with what the game is, that's a sale right there, right? Especially if it passes the first 10 seconds.
And the name as well. This is part of the capsule image, is what's the name of your game. And it's really tough. Like coming up with a name for your game is super tough. Potion Craft, it's very clear what you're doing in the game. You're going to be crafting potions. So that's a great name. You don't have to go that literal all the time. But if you jump back to the page you're on, there's a couple in there that I look at it and it seems clever, like Vagris, the Riven Realms. I don't know what sort of game that is.
Right.
What else? Minecraft Dungeons. Well, I think we can figure out what sort of game that is. Tales of Arise. I mean, using Tales in there kind of says it's going to be a little bit RPG-ish.
Yeah.
But the name's super important. And one of the greatest names, I think, for me, from an indie game is from a couple of buddies of mine who created Darkest Dungeon. And if you look at the name Darkest Dungeon, okay, it's going to be a game that's dark in its tone, in its theme, and you go through dungeons. Like I kind of get it straight away. Darkest Dungeon is not going to be a sports game, is it? It's
right.
And then it'd be interesting. I don't know if we could find their capsule image on there. It might be from down below, just down below, a little bit bottom left of your screen at the moment. I think that's their capsule image.
This one.
Oh, there it is. There. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Right. I mean, you look at it and already there's blood, like blood red. So it's very kind of not horror, sorry, but a very kind of, it's dark. It's all
the theme is very pretty accurate, like cosmic horror kind of.
Yeah, it is like that. So it's all very consistent. Like this, if you want to study a game in terms of consistency, Darkest Dungeon, it just throughout everything, the art style, dark and, and a bit horrorish, but blood and what have you. The story, the narrator they had when they did their Kickstarter campaign, the storyline, the characters, it's all fits within the same experience and same theme. And that's super, super important.
Aesthetically, it's very consistent, and it pulls you in. Like every game has a strength and a weakness, right? And Darkest Dungeon definitely has the aesthetic consistency, and they've got that audio narrator, which is very powerful. Yeah. And I think if you take into account like their capsule image here, it's very similar. Now you don't actually have to have the same capsule image here. You can, but any like decent game seems like they change just the title to kind of the title and a little bit of the theme of the game.
It's different aspect ratio, isn't it? So the capsule is very wide. Right. I don't know the exact dimensions, but then you've got more of a standard aspect ratio for that other image.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's a very wider image, and I think you can fit more stuff on the sides than you can in the center there, and I think that's important. Yeah. So we went through 10-second tests. We went through creating a captivating capsule image. The third and final one here, which I think Darkest Dungeon is probably a good one to kick us off here, but that's the skimming test. Like, is this page designed to be skimmed? Because if there's one thing that we've kind of showed here with some of these games is that we're not actually paying attention to all of the stuff on the page. Right? What we're doing is we're loading it in. So I'm going to refresh it just like I clicked on it. I'm going to load it in, and I'm actually not going to watch this video. I'm probably already gone by now, right? I'm going to start skimming. Like I might skim the video, I might skim the image, I might skim
because your first test is, do I know what this game is, and does it look interesting? And then why would you be scrolling down on Steam? If anyone knows Steam, you're scrolling down to look at the reviews. Now let's go see what people say about it. So it's really clever. Steam says, we know you want to find the reviews, so we're going to put that down a little bit, knowing you'll scroll through the other stuff to get there. You're going to read the reviews. What are other people saying? Super important. But I'm not talking about reviews at the moment. That's a trickier thing to, you can't really manufacture reviews except for having a fantastic game and doing good customer support and all that kind of stuff. But what did you just skim past when you were getting down to the reviews?
That's the thing, right? So I'm scrolling down the reviews, but I have to go through this section like to get there, right? And there's a couple things here. So one is the update section of the game. So, well, first of all, you've got the whole buy the game and buy the bundle and all that stuff. But right below that is the update section. So this is underutilized. I definitely underutilized this with my game Philophobia. I did not post updates, but you can post updates and they show up right here. And if you post another one, it'll show up alongside it here. That's a really good way to, one, show people that your game is still active, but two, show them that all the new things and cool content patches are coming, especially if you're in early access, because people want to know the game is not dead, right? And you need to show that like stuff is being updated and bugs are being fixed and community. But even if it's not like game related, just saying like, we launched the game, you can add some really cool information here.
Being active, when I see particularly something in early access, if I see that the developer is active and active very recent, I'm like, cool, they're paying attention. If it's from 2 years ago, maybe this game isn't being maintained.
Right. People want to know that you're on it and that you're available.
Yeah.
The other part of this is the about this game part, right? And so what I see a lot of people do, what we've seen, I think back here, is look at, this is what a traditional indie kind of description looks like. And it's just a wall of text, right?
We've done that. I've done that. And that's also like, I need to put some stuff here. I'm in a rush. I'll just put some stuff here because some stuff is better than no stuff. And this is a really good first step. Work out your headings, like, play around with your headings, figure out what they're going to be. What are your catchy words? So you want to practice it first before you get there and kind of bake it in. And if you look at Polybuilder, they've gone and baked theirs in by having graphics for the headings, which I love that. As I'm scrolling through, I'm catching that soundtrack, springs, physics, irrespective of whether they're good or not. New physics, I don't really know what that means. That's not what we're talking about at the moment. We're talking about the fact that it pops because that font is put in there as a graphic.
Right. It actually, even the color choice too looks really good on the Steam.
It looks good on the Steam page, doesn't it? It's designed to work on this Steam page.
Right. Yep. And taking this to the next level, let's look at like Potion Craft, for example. Look what they've done for their updates, right? Their announcements. So out now in early access. Thank you from the developers. Even something as simple as this, right? It makes the game seem active, right? There's stuff there. And then you scroll down more and they've got the reviews, but they don't have a wall of text here. They've got our little Discord link to join. But their Discord link is animated too. So it's kind of like click here to join the Discord.
Cool. And so is that animated? Is that a GIF, the reason that it's animating, or is that animating through some other sort of mastery?
It's a GIF.
So okay, so yes, mate. And so I've seen a lot of GIFs in this about section just to reinforce the kind of the 5-second wow that we're getting from up in the video.
Right. And so that's what they've got down here.
This is great here. As you're scrolling through, you're like, yeah. It's about making potions and smashing the mortar and pestle.
You get the game in the GIF, right? Like you get what it is. So even if you like went on the page, 5 seconds, see, that's the first 5 seconds of their video. Did you see that? That's the same thing as their GIF.
Yeah.
They know that is the selling point of their game. And that's why they're showing it right up front, because that's the thing that you do. And so even if you missed it and you scroll down and you're doing other things, you get it right there, right? Yep. Boom. And then most people don't click read more, but if you do, there's more. Like if I'm interested in the game, if I like what I see, if the capsule image made me click and the 10-second rule made me interested, I might click read more. And at that point, it's got to reinforce how I feel, right? Like it's got to not disappoint me. And then I'm still on my ways to the reviews, right? And then you're like, oh, now, fun fact, people actually pay attention to negative reviews. And that's the first thing they're looking for. So if you can get a negative review that says charming and engaging gameplay loop, right? Like that's a really good review because a lot of people search for negative reviews. But specifically what we're aiming for this time is this kind of like, skimming design, and that's what this is kind of designed for. A lot of the good games are kind of designed for skimming. Like this one isn't animated, but it takes those bullet points and it makes them more visual, right? Like discover a purpose, on a journey, uncover a world, light the last campfire, all this stuff.
Yeah, graphics in there. And you know what? If someone's watching this now and they're like, well, I'm a solo indie, I don't have a lot of time to do this stuff. I'm not a graphic designer. I think if you're going to spend a budget on anything, it would be getting someone, like paying someone. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but pay someone to help you with that capsule image and with your main image, and maybe to do a font, or to say, here's a good font that you can use throughout all these different parts. So then you can create that font yourself, or type the stuff and then save it out as an image to put on the page. But
Right.
for a small amount of money, you can do that. Particularly if you've got screenshots you can give to that graphic designer and say,
Yeah.
here's a really cool moment from my game. There you go. Here's zoomed in on my main character. It doesn't just have to be the gameplay camera. You can get your camera in the engine and zoom up really close,
Yeah.
get some of those cool, stylish kind of things, give that to the graphic designer. Then they can put your game's title over the top of that and make something really neat. So you don't have to do it all yourself. I think that's a really important area to spend a couple of dollars to get something really tight, so that you can stand out
agree.
in amongst the million of other images in there.
Well, you know what else too is there's actually an entire profession of capsule artists, which is this is what they do. And now, granted, some of them could be expensive. Like if you want to spend $1,000 or $2,000, it might seem like, oh, I should really add this feature to my game, or I might do something else with that money. But let me tell you, if you spend money on a capsule image, and this capsule image does what Monster Crowns does, for example, if it does what some of these games do, where you can identify what the game is, it's interesting, it's captivating, it's engaging, it will make you money. It will drive more traffic to your Steam page, and Steam will test you on this. They will actually see what your click-through rate is, and only if your click-through rate and your conversion rate are above a certain point will you get pushed out to more and more people. So it is a very, very, very good investment. And same thing with the other two tips that we've been talking about, the 10-second test and the designing for skimming. Those you can probably do a little bit more yourself, but like with a video, for example, that's a whole skill set on its own, right? You may not know what's exciting and interesting about your own game, and sometimes it does help to have somebody help you with a video to kind of make that happen. But
and speaking of skill set, that's something that a lot of our community asks us. How do I market my game? How do I promote my game? How do I get better at this? How do I know these things? How do I know what's working in 2021? So Tim and I are putting together a workshop. It's an event, online event. It's 23rd and 24th of this month. So if you're watching this video and it's still October 2021, then you're in the sweet spot. You can catch us at this event. Tim, what else should we highlight about what we're doing in there?
So we're actually going to teach you how to make the tools, training, and tactics to make your first $1,000 on Steam. And I'm super excited because like this is the big thing that a lot of people struggle with, right? Is how to make your first little bit of money. Now we talked about Steam stuff and how to set up your Steam page and all that. We get 3 Steam tips on that, but there's a lot more to it. There's how do you get people to the page? How do you make an interesting game, right? So this is actually what we're going to cover on the 2-day event. We've got 6 different things here. Rick, do you want to start with the first one?
Yeah. So what's working now? What's the latest successes? What are people doing? It's really different. Even 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, there were different things that were working on Steam in the indie game world that nowadays you need to be doing what's working today. So yesterday was Facebook. Today is Discord. Yesterday might have been a mechanism for reaching out to Steam. What am I trying to say here? Not Steam, streamers. Yeah, steamers. It's a whole new group of people, the steamers. Reaching out to streamers and YouTubers and content creators. Now there's a specific way to do that. There's certain people you need to contact. There's certain ways you need to contact them. So what's working? And also, something that we go into pretty deep in the workshop is how do you design a game that stands out? How do you create an experience? How do you make it remarkable so that when someone clicks on your page, they're like, that looks really cool. I'm interested. Whoa, I didn't expect that. And there's a real art to that. There's a real skill to it. And also the give a damn technique, which I'm a huge fan of. So many of us as indie game developers, when we communicate about our game, will say things like, it's finally here, or amazing news, I've done a thing. People don't give a crap about that at all. So you want someone to give a damn. What's in it for them? How do you speak to your audience? How do you communicate? So people say, wow, okay, I'm interested in that. That's about me. It's not about the developer.
And on top of that, we're actually going to go through like the tactics of this stuff, right? So number 4 here is a viral GIF design. We're going to go through how to make a GIF, how to edit it, how to cut it together, how to actually publish it, where to publish it, what to say about it, and make it go viral. Now, we can't guarantee it goes viral, obviously, but we're going to do everything in our power to share some of the things that we've learned about making GIFs that spread. Because I've gotten a GIF to the top of Reddit, and I know what kind of traffic that does. It can literally take down your
Huge.
servers with the amount of traffic. So we're going to go through actually how to build a viral GIF from the ground up, like technically and theoretically, which is pretty cool. We're going to go over getting YouTubers and press to pay attention, because everybody knows that YouTubers are a big part of the strategy these days, but how do you get them to open your emails, respond, and actually cover your game? Like, what do you say? What do you say in the actual subject line of the email? What do you write in the body of the email? Do you tell them you really like the content, or do you send a generic email to everybody? Or like, how do you actually do that? We're going to go through that in the event. And then lastly, we're going to go building a Steam page that sells. We talked about the top 3 tips that we have, but there's a lot more intricacy to a Steam page, because Steam page is the single point of contact that everybody has to go through to buy your game if you launch it on Steam. And because of that, that page is so critically important. And we're going to go through highly specific tactical and practical details of how to build a Steam page that sells. And I'm excited
And
about
this is a live event. We're just going to be doing it over the course of 2 days, 4 hours on each day. And if you're wondering, so if you're interested but you can't make it to the entire event, not a problem. For people who join the event, you'll have access to all of the recordings. People who don't join the event won't have access to the recordings, just those folks who join us. And of course, you can ask Tim and myself any question about your particular game, your particular marketing strategy, your idea, no matter where you're at in that whole flow, whether it's just an idea at this stage, whether it's something that you've got your Steam page and you're ready to roll. We'll give you direct feedback and thoughts, and let you know how we think you can improve your strategy.
Yeah, and there's so much more on this too. Like, we're not going to go into everything, but like the YouTuber contact swipe up, for example, is my literal emails that I've actually sent to content creators that have actually gotten hundreds of thousands of views, that have gotten people with millions of subscribers to cover my game. And there's that stuff on top of what Rick is saying of like, we're literally going to be there to answer questions and go through your game and your Steam page and help in any way that we can. And we're really excited about it. So if you're interested, the link is down below. Make sure you click it and carry through. We'd love to see you. Once again, it's October 23rd and 24th, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern on both of those days. I'm excited, Rick.
Yeah, me too. And I love seeing people take this knowledge and just fly with it. Sometimes we get stuck on something. It's like, oh, I wish I'd known about this particular thing. I wish I'd known this stuff when I was starting out as an indie developer. And sometimes just getting unstuck, you can just fly and take off. Makes all the difference.
Yeah. I think doing it with a group of people that's also interested in the same thing too is one, a really good way to learn better, because everybody's kind of asking questions that you may not have thought of. But two, it's a good way to kind of meet a group of people that is interested in success like you are, right? It's a big difference from something like a course. This is a live event with live people, and we're going to be we're not just going to be spewing out stuff that we know. Of course, we've got a lot of knowledge to share with you, but we're going to be interacting and using your stuff as an example and answering your questions and all that stuff. And I'm really excited to do this as a live event, because I think it's going to make a big impact in a lot of people's lives.
Yep. Awesome. Cool. And as you can tell, Tim and I love this stuff. Love talking about Steam pages, love talking about how games can improve, about marketing videos, all that kind of stuff. So we hope you guys join us, or hope you join us. Come along, check it out. I think it's going to be good times.
Click the link below and we'll see you there. Bye, everybody.